Everybody, it is March 9th. We are in the third month of the year already. This will finish up the first quarter of 2016, and it feels like we just got here. So, don't know how time is going by so quickly, but it is. We got a special treat. We're going to finish up The Power of One More by Ed Mylett today. So, Larry and I will be doing this for you. Larry, are you ready?
I'm ready if Zoom will quit messing with my camera. My gosh.
Yeah, it does this. When I lean back, it'll zoom in. It does it. Yeah, my camera does its own thing. Did you want to share anything on the screen?
No, I didn't bring anything to share on the screen. I'm
Not a
here.
problem.
I was hoping, unfortunately, Adam's under the weather, but last week's being guided, just talking about what was in these last two chapters,
Hey, I'm here.
was
I'm here for moral support for
was
you guys, though.
was gonna is gonna help get through it because I've never I'm in my 50s. I've never read a book or a chapter that I cried.
Yeah.
Like I cried, stopped, had to read, cried. That's chapter 19, but we still got to get chapter 18 behind us. So
Yeah. What do you see on your screen here?
seven, 1 through 7.
Perfect. So we've done all of them. I mean, we've done 1 through 7. Identity sets the ceiling. Living in your the matrix. One more try. One more dream. The chapter guides are all in here.
Okay, I'll be more than happy to talk about it. I just wanted to
Yeah.
stay within the flow, but it
Oh,
starts
absolutely.
off chapter 18. It starts off with a quote from Weiner Heisenberg. It says, "The first gulp from the glass of natural sciences will make you an atheist, but at the bottom of the glass, God is waiting."
Mm.
One thing that I kept hearing from Ed throughout this entire book, and probably on his podcast and anywhere he speaks in his life, is that, uh, and I'm a man of faith. I believe in Christ. We're not here to preach, right? But when science tries to debunk the existence of God, they come to realize that there is a God. And with that, and through faith and science and the energy that Ed talks about, it all coupled together. It's just similarities through faiths, and business talk. So I wanted to know, what did Ed mean? Because he doesn't. What does Ed mean when he's talking about faith? Is there any underlining meanings or anything like that? Um, I don't know. What to you, Michael? What are your feelings on Ed in this chapter?
Yeah. So in the chapter, I mean, it's interesting that he said he didn't want to change anybody's religion, nor was he trying to. But it's about whatever religion or belief you have to use it and you have to pray. You have to actually believe in it. You have to believe in something. And if you don't believe in something, then what do you stand for, right? So
There's a song like that too, but it's not from Ed Mylett.
that's true.
Uh, he goes on in chapter 18, I don't know if he's setting the stage, but we're unique. Humans are unique. Animals out there, they just we have the ability to think and contemplate what can happen in the future, meet our needs, our desires. I'm sorry, I'm looking for the chapter. I have highlights all
Yeah.
over this thing. I guess in pointing to this, if we had a conversation about faith, it goes in lines with, don't talk about faith, religion, or religion and politics. Well, we will not have all the answers. That's the whole idea about faith. It's about believing in what's not seen. No,
Yeah.
trusting and believing that it's there. So if we live our life always wanting the answer before we move forward in faith or in business, we're going to have that stasis, or we'll just become stuck to the classroom, or however you define that. So moving forward, not just looking for the final answer to which faith, or if you're going to be like, well, there's everyone has a faith, even if it's an atheism. We need to pick it and move forward. Michael,
Yeah. You know,
anything stick out? Oh, go ahead.
I wasn't saying, in the chapter 18 where it goes finishing strong, he had a couple things that stood out to me was endings matter. How many times are we so excited to get a deal done in real estate that at the very end it closes and then we don't follow up with our customers? And that's how I kind of took it as endings matter. It's not just when you get a check or when you get to turn over the keys, you don't give up. You get to continue building trust in a relationship with your clients to keep it forward. And it's how many people abandon we call them orphan owners, right? Abandon their clients after the sale, and then they never hear from them again. And that is just what happens in this business. So finishing up what other people abandon, adopting the people on the other side, especially if you had the listing. In life, what that meant to me was most of us, a lot of us will say, well, I grew up in this religion, but now I don't really attend church. Well, whether you attend church or not doesn't mean that you have a belief or you don't have a belief. It's a matter of whether you're willing to get back to your core basics and back to praying and back to believing and back to living a life that you would be proud of. Even if, if your life was up on the screen and if everybody could see it, are you living in the way that you want to be seen, in the way that you want people to recognize you and see you?
Exactly. I agree with you. And on the same lines, or in chapter 18, he's linking faith, energy, and science, quantum science, right?
Yeah.
Together, he's trying to put it out there. But through the book, he's very careful not to discuss any specific faiths, any type of way to approach business or ways to build your energy. But
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you take time for yourself and you reflect and you're thinking inside, you're talking inside, you're talking to someone, you're praying. That's what he's pointing out. It's meditation, it's prayer, it's contemplation, it's thoughts, it's our insights, our inside talk. That's our faith. That's where we focus. Now, whether we put a name in that thought or those conversations, that's our prayers, meditations. They're necessary. And then to come and try to see how confusing when you want to put a specific religion into a conversation talking about business, it can confuse, muddle the whole deal. So you move on and you just agree that everyone has a faith somewhere. And if there's not a belief in God, that's that person's choice. But they're still thinking to themselves, and they're still that's how I look at it. And bringing at the end of the day, when you bring the science, there's no way that science can debunk the existence or the need for faith. And
yeah,
I'm trying not to go deep on the faith part, because personally, if I were going to share personally, faith is what saved me. I don't know.
Yeah.
30 years ago, 35 years ago. And I've had my trials up and down, but faith was mine. And Ed says that there's three kinds of people. Some people consider themselves incredibly faith-based. Not me. I am faith-based, but I don't think of myself incredibly, but that's just my picture in my head. But others think of themselves as energy-based. And I can see some people on this that I would identify with, hey, you got a lot of energy. Great to be around. People always want to be around you. And then there's others that are science-based, the analyticals. They want all the information, but it's got to be proven to them. And that's the three type of people. So I'll tend to run on about the faith. So we'll move on for a moment. And I want to read something because Ed puts, think about that for a moment. And I circled it. So I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
And then have everyone think about it. So to me, creating an energy field pales in comparison to giving 7 billion people the ability to think, question, express emotions, and challenge, reason, and ponder the great questions of our world. Most importantly, he gave us the gift of finding answers to many of those questions, propelling us forward as a civilization since time began. This, in addition to the biological miracles that give each of us the essence of life. Consider God's miracle of procreation, the transfer of oxygen in our bodies to sustain life, processing food and water into energy, the gifts of sight, sound, taste, and other amazing sensory experiences we use to navigate in the world. I mean,
Yeah.
think about that.
Yeah. Life can be so fragile, right?
And it sets us apart from it. It sets us apart from every living thing out there that we know of.
Yeah.
What else thinks and says I'm sorry? Do
Yeah.
our pets really come up and say I'm sorry? I mean, they do in a way. We think they
Yeah, they come
do,
in
but
and
they're
love you
not.
for a bit.
It's not the same. Yeah, not. Anyway, I'm more
Yeah.
excited to get to chapter 19. But
Yeah.
my,
Before we get to
yeah,
chapter 19, or it might have been in chapter 19, but it was right before, I think it was 18. It's where he goes into people's energy fields. And we can all tell when your energy is off. When your energy is off, whether it's due to home stress, personal stress, life stress, there can be a lot of life stress. Let's just face it, real estate can be a very stressful business. It changes your energy. And the example that he gives leading up to that was, have you ever, been in a group and then there's a dog and your dog will bark at a certain person, right? Because their energy field is different. Your dog knows there's something up. They're just giving off a different energy. And so what are you doing to make sure that you're getting back to level, whatever level is to you? And what he suggests is simply, regardless of what religion you are, in every religion, there's faith, because it's faith based, no matter what you call your religion, and there's prayer. And that it's that you pray within the faith that you have in whatever religion that you are, and that you do it based on what that religion is based on. Don't pray for things that are not going to be granted, but pay for peace, pay for equanimity is a word that he used, for being level minded, and just re- realize that people can feel your energy even if you don't say a word.
and that's around page 232.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. He also points out, and this will be familiar to a lot of us, is that prayer. It's not only in the good times. We don't just celebrate and say thank you for giving me this. It's in the tough times.
Yeah.
It's out of need when you don't have something and you're sacrificing yeah, you pray in need in bad times and good times, and then your energy will be up there. Michael, thank you. I'm told that a lot, that my energy does affect rooms, so puts burden on people, on yourself. When you're walking into a room, you got to check yourself, and the prayer is stopping, taking a few minutes. It may feel like it was 20 minutes, but really taking a couple minutes by yourself just to clear your mind on whatever's going on, to think before you go in to a place where your energy needs to be up there to match everyone else, so you don't bring everyone down. It's a great
Yeah.
tool. It works. It does. And it's always good to be conscious of that. And sometimes I feel, yeah, it's a challenge I've been struggling with for years. Feel like, and that's, yeah, this book was perfect for me. Perfect time. It's perfect for
Yeah.
anyone.
And I didn't expect the book to end this way. I didn't expect it to end on faith, prayer, and then him sharing so much about his dad. It's one of those things that just tells you that if you ever followed Ed Mylett, if you start now, you would have this certain image of him, this rough, tough guy that goes to the gym. He looks like a Marine or a wrestler or something. He looks real tough. But underneath all of that is the fact that we're all just human, that we all struggle with various things, that we all have different things that we sometimes hide from the world. And he decided to put it out there and share his pain. And in sharing his pain, he was able to heal from it and learn from it. And that's how this book came to be. So, one more prayer, chapter 18, is just that. It is, if you haven't prayed before, pray one time a day, and then do it one more time tomorrow, and one more time the day after that. And if you are a science based person who doesn't believe in faith, start looking at some of the things in science that can't be explained. And that quantum energy that he says, that is some of the God particles, right? He says that in between the lines, like that is just the fact that there is something bigger than us in the universe, and it's good to have that faith and believe in something bigger than us.
I mean, maybe there's someone on this call that can explain how my computer is picking up the Wi-Fi out of thin air, because I don't
Yeah.
see it. right?
Yeah,
And but we all have faith it's going to work because we're
that's
on
true.
here. We're hoping. It's
Right.
very similar.
We're all hoping
Uh,
it works every time we get to the office.
yeah, yeah. That's well, but it does it. Boy, does our world come crumbling down. The last chapter, I mean, not the last chapter, last section of chapter 18 on the power of one more prayer, he titles it that section as well. And he wanted to recap what was going on. But the first paragraph, I wrote on the side, I put relentless. So it identified there was some core values in there that popped out that we are our core values. And at the bottom of page 234, um, some additional things that Ed wanted to share about faith, what he believes, and one more prayer. First one was the stronger your faith is in whatever you believe, the deeper your commitment to your resulting cause will be. So to me, when I was reading it, it was similar to being relentless. I mean, your
Yeah,
inspiration, what your goal, what your drive, your why, if it's big enough, then you're going to achieve the goal that's at the end of that will
yeah.
please him. Um, you got to
But
ask
also
your
also to have a purpose with it, right, Larry? Because if you don't have a purpose, you can achieve your goal or your definition of success, but you won't be satisfied. You won't be fulfilled by just having a goal. So when you put a purpose behind the goal, it really makes life more meaningful.
yes, yeah, yeah. In life, you're right, Mike.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean it's
in life, I don't know if there should be goals, especially after reading Atomic Habits. I mean, a goal is it's a checkpoint. We do need goals, but
yeah,
you need identities. What's my identification? His dad, we'll see in the next chapter, till the day, yeah, up
yeah,
till his last days. And that was just part of him. It wasn't a goal like a gut, but it is. It was one more, one last, one more, one
yeah.
more. Yeah. A couple or a few others that he said is you got to ask yourselves question if you if there's doubt about your faith within yourself, ask yourself the important questions. You got to remove that doubt. And if it comes to the business part, if your why is getting unsteady, you got to refocus. Maybe it's changing
Yeah.
as we age, or just as things go on, our focus goes different.
Yeah.
Young parents, we got to do this for our children. Now our children are out of the house. Now what is our why? Our whys are going to change.
Yeah, I mean, one certainty in life, right, is change. It's death and
It
taxes, but there's
does,
always change,
yes.
and there's seasons to life. There's a
And
season
there's
of
good
growing up.
change and
Yeah,
bad change.
yeah,
If we bring the
yeah,
energy, prepare for it. It's great outcomes.
yeah. It's really about taking, inventory of yourself, and how you're living life. If you want to do better, what does better mean for you? What is your big why? And is your big why changing? And do you need to repurpose your big why or rewrite your big why and how you're existing? Because when you're raising kids, your big why is everything for your kids. And as they get up and grow older and you're empty nesters, your life changes again. And then become adults. And then if your kids have kids, then it's like a whole different meaning to your life because you're watching them do what you did. And it's so much more meaningful. There's all the seasons to life, but are you ready to adjust? Are you ready to take inventory? And in your next chapter that you got coming up later, which is 19, which is just about really how he wrote the book, and he wrote it really because of the change he said he saw in his dad. And those stories are really interesting to me because he opened up and let the world see what most people kind of keep hidden because they're things that are difficult to talk about. You know? And that for him was having a dad that was an alcoholic dad for the first 15 years of Ed's life, right? The first 15 years of his life, his dad was a drunk and functioning alcoholic, but
Yeah.
his dad gave him an ultimatum and he changed his life and stayed committed. And I think the important thing there is to pick up that he stayed committed to that change, is that his dad made a life change and it stayed for 35 years. And it probably was a struggle every single day, which is why the one more exists. It was one day at a time, one more day at a time. And his dad lived 35 years, one more, one more. And that's what the chapter we're going into, which is chapter 19. Now, Larry only gave you two chapters. Only one of them had some meat and potatoes, right? The one we discovered and the story of how this book came to be and that. So I'll let you take that one away. This one, if you hear the book on Audible, Ed starts crying as he's reading the book of it right there when he's talking about his pops.
Yeah, well, I know how excited you've been about you, Michael, have been talking about chapter 19 for weeks,
Yeah, yeah.
even before when we knew we were going to start the book. So I'd like, will you share? Because
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, my dad to me was also one of my heroes, although I didn't, his challenge that we had in our life was much different. But with Ed, it was really, again, this is people, they have a hard time talking about this stuff, but he went into detail that when his dad came home, and the reason is Ed is so successful in life now is because he had to learn to read the room and read people's body language at a very young age. And just his dad coming home from work, if he heard his dad fumbling to put the key in the lock, he knew to stay away. He knew it wasn't going to be a good night. And so if there was some stumbling at the door, he just automatically knew like it's going to be a bad night. And he has two sisters, by the way. So he was the only other man in the house, if you will. And so although he doesn't go into the details of what that looked like, you can read between the lines. And he said on days that dad would come home and he could put the key right in and there was no fumbling, he knew it was going to be a good night. And maybe he might even play some catch in the backyard with his dad. He just knew it was just a different thing. And there was sometimes his dad came home drunk a lot. And sometimes his dad wouldn't come home a lot at all. His dad would just not come home. And everybody knew what that meant in the house, even at a young age. They knew what that was and what that meant. And finally, his mom had enough of feeling like a single parent and sat his dad down, which is also Ed Sr., down and gave him an ultimatum and basically in front of the family. And his dad went and talked to the kids and went and talked to Ed and said, "Hey Ed, I'm going away for a little while. When I come back, you're gonna have the dad you deserve, and I'm not gonna be drinking anymore." And he went away to a rehab, came back and never drank again, not anything for the rest of his life. And it not only was profound because he made that change, um, but also because it showed his family that his family meant that much. It took an ultimatum from mom to get the dad to do it, but for the rest of his life, he didn't drink again, and he was the dad that I'm assuming that the kind of dad he always wanted to be. More importantly, it was that change in that example that he set for the kids. And what Ed says about that is that his dad's drinking didn't happen to him and his sisters and his mom. It happened for them because by seeing the challenges that being a functioning alcoholic could have, it made them not want to drink. And it made them not want to be alcoholics, and it made them not want to be addicts to other things. And he said the same thing. He didn't look at it as a negative to have a dad that was an alcoholic for 15 years, but rather the positive influences that had on him, even as hard as some of us can look at what's on the paper and say, how can that be a positive thing? But it's exactly that. He didn't want to repeat that for himself when he became a dad. He didn't want to be an alcoholic. And so he's seen that that's not what he wanted in his own life. So he stayed away from it. Also, he said that alcoholism didn't happen to his dad, but happened for his dad because when he got sober, it gave him a purpose in life. And that purpose was to be an Alcoholics Anonymous counselor for the rest of his life for free. And he helped literally hundreds and hundreds of people. This is Ed's dad, become sober. And he would have on 3x5 cards, and I have a stack of them over here. I still use them, by the way. They're on my desk. They're here for a reason. I write notes on them. I write stuff on them. But he found a bunch of them when they were cleaning his dad's stuff out after his dad passed. And on the cards, he had names, phone numbers, and dates. And he came to find out that those dates was not that people's birthday, but it was their sobriety birthday. And that he called those people that he helped stay sober. And he did that work for 35 years for free, by the way. And even on the very last phone call that he made to anybody before he died, it was to somebody that he helped to get sober because he would call them on their anniversary of sobriety and tell them, just remember, all you got to do is one more day. It's not another year. It's not another decade. It's one more day of making the right choice of not drinking. And that's the reason that this book came to be. It was that impactful to Ed when he saw that. It's like, oh my God, I didn't even know this part of my dad. I knew that he lived one day at a time, one more day of being sober. I know that he gave back, not just to his family, to his community, and to everybody that he had that was around him, but that he gave to complete strangers a piece of himself and time. Because at the end of the day, that's all that we have is time. It's our most valuable asset, and that he was willing to give so much of himself to help somebody else out because that somebody else may have a kid. That somebody else may leave a good example for their kids. And by helping people stay sober, he might be impacting more families and communities. And that really, when you think about it, is what kind of mark do you want to live in the world, right? You can take some of your darkest memories and some of your darkest things or your biggest challenges and make them positive if you're willing to do the work. More importantly, is if you're willing to share that part about yourself that is hard to talk about. But we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all we all have emotions and we all have lapses in judgment. But it's about picking yourself up and moving in the right direction, whatever that right direction looks like for you. But you need faith to do it. You need to have a purpose to do it. You got to have a why. And if it wasn't for his dad being an alcoholic and then staying sober and then reading the little things on 3x5 cards, this book would have never existed. And this book and that life experience has changed Ed's life forever and the life of his kids and siblings and everybody that he's come in contact with. Because as he shares a story, if you're human, you can't help but to be able to relate in some kind of a way. Because if it didn't happen in your family, maybe it happened in some of your friends' family, maybe it happened at a neighbor's house, maybe it's happening, for your cousins. We all have stories of people being traumatized due to some kind of substance abuse or other thing, and just people go through some things. And how do you pick yourself up and move forward? Well, you do it one day at a time. You do it just one more day, one more attempt, one more thing. You keep pushing forward. You do just one extra, and whatever it is that you do in life, you just do one more every single day. You feel like giving up right now. People, you feeling burnt down in real estate. Just do one more. You don't have the leads you want to do. You make a couple more phone calls. You do just. It's simply one more. It's one more than you think you have in you. You push yourself for one more. And if you do that, it can have such a beautiful and impactful change in your life, but you got to have some purpose in it. And I just, this last chapter for me made him human. It made him relatable. And it really, you kind of, at least for me, it made me kind of reflect on my life and think, I've had a good life. I mean, I wouldn't have changed the way I grew up for anything. But as I look at my life as an adult, which this book forced me to do in a way, because it made me reflect on things. I listen to the book a lot when I'm driving, and I have a lot of downtime sometimes if I'm not making calls. And it made me think, man, my dad took a chance to move. I was the first one born here, but he had 8 kids in total, right? One daughter and then 7 boys. And when he brought the family after I was born here, when he brought the rest of the family, that was 9 of us. Actually, 10, because my little brother was born by then. Dude, he was bringing 10 people to feed in a country where he didn't speak the language, in a country where he had to do the shittiest kind of work that nobody else wanted to do. And he worked sun up to sundown. And I remember as a family, as kids, we would be still working when the sun went down early, and we'd be working by the headlights of our car. And there was times we didn't have anywhere to live because they came down here not knowing anybody, and we slept in the wagon. And by we, I mean my mom and my sister slept in the wagon. I was one of the youngest, so the 2 youngest slept in the wagon with mom and sister. And all my other brothers, man, that's 6 of them, slept under the trees. And it said the 70s were different than it is now. But shit, I couldn't take my family somewhere where I didn't speak the language. I think about it now. Even with some of the financial things that I have now, I would be scared to take my family somewhere that I didn't know the rules and the laws, and just to make it work. But he had a dream of having a better life with an education for everybody in the family. And I just look back and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that he had the courage to do that. But damn, it was hard. It wasn't hard for me. I was a kid. I didn't know no different. For me, it was just part of growing up, right? And what challenges do you have? If you don't know your story, what did your parents have to go through? What did your grandparents have to go through? I mean, Bill Jordan, that we bought the business from, he's an Okie from Oklahoma. And he came out here with his parents during the Dust Bowl because they lost everything back in Oklahoma, and they worked in the fields just like my parents worked in the fields. It's just a different generation. And as I drive to work, the 35 miles to work from Porterville to Visalia, and I take the country roads, man, there's almost every single day I run into a crew on the side of the road that's working the fields today, just like I did when I was a kid. And so that's my story. That's how I related this chapter to me. But your story is unique to you. How do you relate it to you? And are you grateful that you're at where you're at in life? Look at the sacrifices that your parents or grandparents had to do to get you guys to where you're at now. And you just got to do one more. You got to try one more at the end of the day when you have nothing left in you, just one more. When you're feeling burnt out, when you're feeling like you got nothing, just one more because your kids are watching. And guess what? If they have friends over, their friends are watching what you do. You see, you leave an impact not just on your kids and those around you, your nieces, your nephews. They're all watching. They're all seeing what you're doing. And that impact can cause them to make a change in their life that eventually might end up in them writing a book because you can be that example for them. And for me, Larry, that book was just that chapter. I loved it. I loved it. I loved that he was that open. I loved that he was that vulnerable with the people. I loved that he shared the story, and that out of this painful story that he had in his life, this book came out and completely changed his life for the better, because he became a speaker after writing this book. He wasn't a speaker until this book came out, at least not in a meaningful way, you know. And so for me, I thought that was just a great way to let us know of how the book came to be, the challenges that he had in life, and the fact that we're all just one thing away from being better than we are today. So
Thanks for, yeah.
yeah,
This, mm,
yeah.
I
There's
don't
a
have
lot
it.
to
I
kind
don't,
of pick apart, huh?
yeah, to be out there vulnerable, I don't have the same experience from my
Yeah,
childhood. My father was my hero early on, and then later things happened that
yeah,
were unfortunate, but I still love him all the same. I still respect him, and he is still my hero because I know he was doing the best he could do with the tools he had at that
yeah,
time. So I don't doubt him at all, and everything I agree with that. I've never complained through those life experiences as a child. I've turned them into being positive. You know, I love my those circumstances, and it was the best they had. So I made excuses whether it was valid or not, and it's helped me
yeah,
be a better person for my children. I hope they'll share their stories later
yeah.
in life, and we'll know. But he recaps so the in the last chapter and sharing the story of his father, and the role and the impact, and how his father had that one last opportunity with stakes so high that he was going to lose his wife and his children. He, he was 15 years old. He didn't just accept it like that. He asked his dad, and if you redirect a question back to your dad that
Yep.
age, and he said, how's this time going to be different from any other? um Stupid to hit like that for me, but that there could be a backhand, that there could be
Yeah.
a disciplinary action that we can't even
Mm,
talk about. But he asked it, and his dad told him that was the validation to Ed that his
yeah.
dad was on the right path, because he said, I have one more chance.
Yep. He needed one more chance. He needed to give his dad one last chance, even though his dad had not done it before, right? But
Yeah,
when he committed and he did the work, he did it one day at a time, and that's what it took. I mean, so how many times do we feel like giving up on people? And sometimes we do emotionally, or we just get them out of, we have to have proper boundaries to keep ourselves safe. But, sometimes love keeps you from having that proper boundary, and you keep giving people chances and they keep hurting you. And in this case, it was his dad, you know?
and that's why it's important for the prayer. Find faith, something that strengthens your soul, your core, that you talk to,
Mhm.
communicate with. Um, because you got to get it off your chest. Otherwise, I think it destroys your energy, breaks it sucks your patience away. And when you're in front of people that you need to be patient with, you have very little patience. And it just, yeah. So you got to get in your head and figure out what's going on when things seem so like, why do I even want to make the next phone call? Why do I want
Yeah.
another? Why do I want to help another family find a home? It's, well, what? Yeah, why? That's the whole question. If your why isn't strong enough, if the inspiration isn't there, then you're going through the routine for like a robot, and
Yeah.
there's no why to drive. So that
Yeah.
you'll lose fun in life. I've done that. Sold a lot of real estate and lost some. Just wasn't able to enjoy it. Did not pull that part out of that season in my life. So I like to share with people, hey, when it's getting busy, keep structured, but keep your personal life protected and learn how to turn it off. And you got to go inside your prayer, your thoughts, your meditation, your faith, and cleanse. You got to clean yourself.
Yeah.
You check yourself, and make sure that my reason or your reasons, your why is still intact. Is it still ethical? Is it still genuine? Is it still driving? Is it the fire that, you can tell and read in the book? If you'd have read chapter 19 and then went and read the whole book, you could probably do that now and it'll sound a little different, but he's just pulling the whole emotional experience of his childhood from 15 on and explaining it in 18 chapters, but he unfolds the whole story in chapter 19, just talking about the question,
Yeah.
the inspiration and the anchor so that I can do one more.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't an effort, it wasn't a task, it wasn't a check mark, it was the identity. It's in the DNA. Let's see. So here's where, Michael, you'd already alluded to it, but he wrote that it's a direct result of his father's influence on him, through his work in Alcoholics Anonymous. Um, it may sound small to some of those on here. If you have not ever faced addiction, um, can't judge people. Advice is some unbelievably. It's just it is strong for those. And if you haven't experienced, bless you. If you have, and you, I mean, bless you as well because you've overcome, and it is strong. Everyone's vices are different to each person. So being able to help those you can, and then just commit to it. Commit to
Yeah.
your why. Commit to your one thing. This book kicked them up. I don't. I. You have to contemplate every conversation you have. Then you want to go back
Yeah.
and make sure you make the right adjustments so that whether it's personal, family, business, public, that your body language, your tone, the words that come out do not do anything but attract people to you or make them want to lean in and hear what you got to say.
Yeah.
You don't
It's that
have to,
energy he was talking about. Yeah.
you don't have to be hard. I thought you had to be hard to keep people off.
Hmm.
Um, I think that just you don't have to show your edges. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you can be totally intentional and totally attractive in a magnetic way.
Yeah.
People just want to be around you. You get things done. Who knows someone who can think of someone in their mind that every time you see them, they smile when they respond to something that's kind of a little negative. You think, are they really genuine? But they do it every time if you've known them for years.
Yeah.
That is a picture I plant in my mind, and those are the goals that I want to achieve. I want to be that person that someone can say, man, he turned it around and I never saw him get this, or I never saw him do that, or whatever the challenge is. Yeah, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Mile
You
man.
know, when you said that, for some reason, it reminded me of Joel Osteen. Whether you're a fan of him or not, they call it he's been dubbed the smiling preacher. And because he has a mega church, a lot of people look at him differently. But the story that came to mind when you were talking, Larry, was one of that there was a pastor that just didn't like him because he was always smiling. And the reality is, he was just born with that optimism in life. And I'm born a happy person. I'm happy until I'm grumpy, and I'm grumpy when I'm tired. So when I'm tired, I'm grumpy. But aside from that, man, I'm happy almost the rest of the time of my life, regardless of the stress that I have in it. I don't know why I'm wired this way, but I'm wired this way. But I do feel stress. And so, as you were saying, I'm like, everybody responds to life differently. The best man in my wedding, dad was a real hard butt, and he spoke up one time because his dad would get a little bit loud with mom and the family, and he was the youngest of the sons. He had two younger sisters, but he had two older brothers and two older sisters too. So he was kind of right in the middle. And this is my best friend growing up, and he spoke up once, and he said he woke up a little bit later with a massive headache and basically a big bruise on the side of his head.
Yeah.
And that was a reality in his household. Is that his household was very intense and very macho driven and dominated. And after that event, there was no more dad in the house because mom moved away with the kids. And then he grew up without a dad after that. And so he was always very grateful to his mom and very respectful and kind of put his mom on an altar, if you will. But that was his example at home. And so he wanted to make sure that he set a different example when he started his own family. And even though that's something that I can't relate with because it wasn't in my house, it was a story of my best friend growing up. And I seen it firsthand for him because there was a lot of times he was trying to escape that house. And he and I would hang out all day because the last thing he wanted to be was inside that house. And so as kids, we were always out playing. Anywhere that he could go that was not inside the house was his freedom zone. And so what is the example and how does he make that a positive life? Well, he made it a positive because he made sure that he wasn't that for his own kids. And so whatever it is, you're saying the word, what's your why? And a lot of people in life that are not in real estate, instead of their big why, they think of what's my purpose in life. And the reality is they're both pretty much the same. Is if you don't know what your purpose is in life, look at what's your why. What drives you? What motivates you? What keeps you pushing forward? What you're looking for? What is the goal that you're striving for? What's the purpose when you get there? And so your big why is also your purpose. And if you can connect your life experience to your big why, then your life has meaning and purpose. And you just got to try one more time to get that done. Right. Like he said, when he's in the gym, he's never done it. He doesn't remember the last set of 10 that he did, despite, over 30 years, he always done one more. If the set is 10, he'll do one more until he can't do one more. And sometimes that's 13 or 17 in that rep.
Ed, he said that he's often asked, since you brought up, your purpose in life or ways to refer to your why. I call it your inspiration because, that's what works for me. But I'm often asked, where can you find those reasons? And Ed said, and it's true, and in case it slips our mind here, you don't need to look any further than your own dreams or the people that you love or the people that you love. You should be able to find something within your dreams or within the people in your life to come up with reasons that push you to be that much, one bit better tomorrow than you are today.
Yeah.
So it's all right there. And at times you're like, if you're thinking about quitting on your dream, well, maybe I don't know what my purpose in life is. Maybe I don't know what my business plan is as far as why I want to get there. I just know those numbers, whatever it is, if you're thinking about quitting on it, don't put the pressure on yourself to meet the goal for 5 or 10 years. So these goals, they're guides, but the pressure is not to reach the goal. Instead, think about not quitting for one more day. So these business plans or these life plans or these goals and New Year's resolutions, we put action steps because we take the big picture and we want to break it down so it's manageable. So then we know what we're not quitting on one day. What we're trying not to not quit on for one more day. You either do it for one more day or you don't quit. Don't quit for one more day. It's such a mind thing, but just to get it there in front of you, you got to visualize it, and it comes deep, burn, something that'll make you cry if you thought about it right now. It was out of your life. That's something very heavy. Now tie something to that and grow and build on it.
Yeah.
Ed recaps, or not actually, I thought he was recapping all day when I was reading this thing, but he talks about 3 things he wants us to know on the one more. And he starts off with live a one more life as often as you can. One more works best when you treat every day as a new life. So everything starts fresh each day. And understand that it's never too late for one more. So I don't care how old we are, and I don't want to hear it if you have a different opinion. I always believe that there is always time for change, and there's always time for one more, and I'll believe that until the day I go to the next place. That we have to believe, because as you get older, you start to say, oh, wow, you got to find that drive, and you got to find that why and that inspiration. It doesn't just stay automatic, man. The body changes. Yeah, it's fun. It's exciting ride, but you got to keep focused.
Yeah, getting older is fun.
Yeah. But when you live that, there's one phrase, and I put a little note because to me it spoke. I needed to keep it in check, and that's when you live a one more life as often as you can, you approach life with a high degree of urgency. Urgency is poison for me because I build on it, and it just becomes frustration and stress because things don't go smoothly when I build my own urgency. So that statement I just put to keep in check. So I can't get infatuated with, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to be so much that I become codependent, because now that's a different issue. So the one more is for your purpose. But that struck out. I mean, you approach it with a degree of urgency, but make sure to keep your urgency in check so that it doesn't affect everyone around you in a negative way. And Ed believes that his dad, although his dad later in life, his dad was looking at Ed. He knew that his dad was proud of him for success and stuff like that. You know, he's achieved it, but he said his dad was more concerned about the man he was and how Ed treated people and what difference Ed was making in the world and whether he was living a good and virtuous life. Not that he reached this status and he's making great income and owns several homes, that type of stuff. No, his dad was more concerned and asked him questions that relate to his well-being, his inner self. Michael?
No, I mean, that's absolutely, it wasn't about the material things. The material things didn't impress it. It didn't impress Dad. It was more of, how are you living your life? Are you happy? Are you fulfilled? You know? And sorry, I got the hiccups now.
Oh, well, there's 3 things that he closes out. Let me see. 2. Yeah. This first one, if you take nothing else away from this book, I'm telling you now, if you have someone in your life who means a lot to you, start living your life with a one more mentality toward them. Cherish every moment you spend together. Live your life in ways that will make them proud and make you happy. Don't wait. Second thing he wanted to make sure and we understood is to fully appreciate one more. Treat every day as a new life. There's no guarantees. There are no guarantees in life. We always hear that. If you stop and include that in your thoughts from time to time, it'll help drive you on your one more, maybe help you bite your tongue, maybe help you
Yeah.
reach down and offer that help, whatever it is. Not to be a guilt, but it does. When we stop to think about it, we're good people. Humans are kind, and if they would stop and think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not mine. And then the third and final thing that he said is it's never too late, right? It's never too late until you we're all going to take our last breath, and we're all going to do the things that happen before that. So it's never too late until it's too late. I'm glad that overall this book,
Yeah,
I've heard the story. Yeah, I've heard the stories in different ways, not specifically, but to read his story in chapter 19 made all the sense in 1 through 18. My favorite chapters are all good, and I'm going to set 19 aside because that's the pinnacle chapter. But 17 spoke to me a lot, and that's not even the ones I'm covering. But that equanimity, or however you say it, man, talk about balance. And then if you can control your energy, you're perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, equanimity was a word that I wasn't familiar with. I had to look it up to make sure I understood it. I understood it in the context of how he used it. But again, it's staying level in high stress situations. It's your equanimity.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe he made the word up. It just kind of went with it.
Yeah, like did it sound right? Did it not sound right? But at the end of the day, with these book clubs, I know we only gave you 2 chapters at the end here, Larry, which we're trying to cover the time, but we're trying to change it up for everybody that's with a company, to just let you know that there's a lot of information that is useful in books. And the reality is that after people are done with school, whether it's high school or college, less than 15% of people will ever pick up a book again. And the math is more like 5% of adults. And that's just really sad. But they'll stay hours and hours on their phone. And going back to January's event that we did, this is a good servant, but a terrible master. And
Yes.
over the last year and a half, I've taken myself off of a lot of platforms and put timers on so that it doesn't steal my time, because it's so easy to get lost in your phone. And so it's about being for me, being purposeful with your time and being as impactful as I can be with the people that I'm around, and just trying to do now, in this case, what's one more phone call that I can make on the way home to an agent I haven't talked to in a while, or to a vendor I haven't spoken to in a while, and rebuild that connection and see what's going on in that person's life. And so I find myself calling friends and family and agents on the way home just to check in. And it is something that I should be doing more of. But for me, that's what I've taken from this book. And if you've gotten phone calls in the last 2 weeks that came from the book, it's about just making one more call to get reconnected with people that I might have lost touch with in the company that I just don't talk to as much as I used to.
Yeah.
So this book, at the end, with the conversations you and I were having, Larry, it reminds me of who, not how. Maybe that's a good one for a future book club. But oftentimes we try to figure everything out in our business, but it's not about figuring every single aspect of our business. It's about finding the who that can help your business grow and that can make you a better person or more successful in your impact in your personal business. And so finding the who, not how, is I tied it to the conversation that you and I had in part of this book. Is you can't do everything for everybody, but you can do one more for somebody.
So don't wait for one mores to find you. Go after them with urgency and purpose. You'll unlock the most difficult and essential one more lesson you can learn when you do this. And in doing so, you might just unlock the secret of life.
Yes.
That's courtesy of Ed. Well, thank you for the opportunity to share these last 2 chapters. If I had one more, we would go way over time, so we're good. It was good.
It was a good book. It really was.
Yeah. It's a great book. So thanks. I'm good. Thanks everyone for hopping
Thank you, everybody.
on. Thanks, Lena, for being visible. Appreciate it.
And then Adam says thank you
Oh, of course. Thank you
for doing
everyone
this.
that's on. Yeah.
A lot of good takeaways. You're welcome, Adam. Sabrina, you're welcome. Charlie Retta said in the chat that he's using Moxie to do 1 or 2 more emails per month as part of his commitment to this book, to what he learned from the book. So, yeah, some cool things in there.
Thank you, Charlie. All right. Well, I'll let you end the meeting.
Well, thank you, everybody. I hope to see you guys all in person sometime soon. Thank you for being a part of this. We'll get back to the drawing board. We'll continue next Monday with a different training.
Adam, challenge. What is your one more? Think about it. You don't have to answer here, but what is your one more?
Yeah, you can answer here in the chat if you want, but send it out in an email to everybody company wide, and let us know where you're committing to one more thing that base that this book maybe had inspired, or one more thing you're willing to do to get better at anything in life or make a difference in your own life. Perfect.
Well, have a fantastic week, everyone. 5 extra minutes back to you. Toodaloo.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good week.